How you doing, y'all? And welcome to Confidence. We've got a great episode today. A lot of really cool topics. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have my first reaction to the podcast last week. The podcast last week, Boys Lie. If you're watching the video right now, I'm wearing a Boys Lie t-shirt. It's actually a clothing brand. And what's really sad, fucking tears. The girl that I was just talking to, long distance situation, she's the one who kind of like put me on to this brand, and low key is fire. It's a girl brand, but I wear it because like, fuck it, you know, it is what it is. But shirt is so fucking dope. Honestly, all the clothing, pretty fucking sick. But reaction to Boys Lie last week, told a story about, obviously kind of breaking some boundaries, with the long distance situation, and just kind of talking about, not necessarily living in my truth and how that kind of came back to bite me. I had some really harsh reactions, honestly. I had some pretty harsh reactions in the YouTube comments, and not even gonna lie to you, not even just in YouTube comments, but even friends personally, my assistant actually as well, kind of let me hear it a little bit. So I'm going to react a little bit to their reactions, to that last podcast. We're going to talk about just what has happened since, right? Like clearing my name, essentially, like where are we at in the relationship now that all this has kind of happened? I'll give you a little bit of recap, and then we'll talk about kind of my dating process going forward, and just some thoughts that I have regarding, work, relationships, the attention that we give people. And speaking of which, I have two questions that were provided to me. First one is going to be around a situation where a girl asked a question about a guy not wanting to text her very often, but still saying that he cares about her and still saying that he wants to continue moving forward with her. So we're going to get into that. And then I also have a voice question from a listener talking about how in dating, what do you do as a woman who is potentially making more money than maybe some of the men that she's trying to date? And kind of how do you navigate that just in the dating world? Because it's kind of a little bit more difficult, I would say, for a successful woman in this kind of dating climate culture, whatever it might be. We got a lot of great fucking topics. Let's get into it. I want to say like the first thing that I really want to do is kind of give a little bit of a summary of kind of where I'm at and what has kind of happened, since Boys Lie. So, on the last podcast, obviously I talked about how, broke some boundaries. I had hooked up with, that kind of random girl. And essentially, obviously I'm held accountable for not, being honest with this girl about where I was at. And, obviously I paid the price for it. I paid the price for it in the sense of, having to know that I hurt somebody that I really cared about. And still really do care about to this moment. So kind of what happened was after this situation happened, I was very honest with her about what had happened. Obviously it was a very big shock to her. She was very hurt by it. And it's been really difficult over the last week and a half trying to navigate this. And the reason it's been so hard to, kind of figure things out is this has just thrown a wrinkle into what I think was already inevitably happening, or what was already a challenge for this situation, which was, I'm talking to this girl that, while I do think she's so fucking dope in so many ways, and honestly, the first partner that I've met in a really long time where I'm like, wow, I actually could see myself being with you. Like, that was what the hard part was. It was like, that feeling is still there. You know what I'm saying? I still felt like, oh my God, this person really is great. But obviously there were just some wrinkles, right? The circumstances of the situation were not allowing for the relationship to truly grow. We didn't have a great environment for this relationship to grow. Obviously we were long distance. And I think that's where, a lot of people even had some reactions to, you're going to hear, this person left a YouTube comment where it's like, if you knew that you didn't want to move back there, why did you even attempt to do this in the first place? And that's the thing is like, this relationship, what's fucking wild is, and if you guys have been listening to me for a long time, I've been in a string of long distance relationship. It's almost a pattern at this point. It really is, right? It was, the girl from Miami, the girl from Canada, the girl from Texas. And now is this girl from New York. And the thing is, before I got into this relationship, you got to understand the position that I was in, right? So if you go really far back, right, before I tore my Achilles tendon, because that's when I met the long distance situation, I was really adamant about not being in a long distance situation. But what happened is I tore my Achilles, right? I go back home to New York, and me and this girl just hit it off. And here's what's crazy. Like, this is what I really discovered. I feel like the reason I needed to go through this relationship was this was the first time that I was actually in the long distance situation where I actually realized to myself, wow, I do actually want to be with this person where, yo, I can't overcome this distance. I can't overcome not seeing this person. Seeing this person and being in person, trying to build a relationship with somebody is critical. Like, especially in those beginning early stages of dating. It's different if you guys have been dating, you're established, you know what I'm saying? Let's say you had a couple months together, even a couple, a year or something like that. Then you go long distance, way different, right? We're talking about establishing yourself with a person over a 3,000 mile range, especially across the country. It's not like we're LA to Arizona, right? Where it's like an hour flight. We're talking about a 5-hour flight. Like, this is not a simple thing that we were trying to pull off. But the thing is, the only reason I even proceeded forward in the first place was I was like, wow, this is like the first time I've connected with somebody where I'm like, yo, she could be the one. Yo, she could be somebody that I see myself with for a very long time. So that was the attempt to trying to make things work and to make things happen. But obviously, again, you go forward. I start to recognize, like, no matter how much I really do like this person, if I'm not seeing you, I'm not seeing you. And obviously, if you guys have been listening, that's where we've kind of gotten to, where it's like this pressure has been mounting and building and building and building. And I was really struggling because I'm wanting to have this conversation with her, but at the same time, it feels like I can't, because when I look at her on FaceTime and I'm like, there's nothing for me to dislike. Like, I don't dislike you. I don't want to not talk to you. I don't want to not be with you. But the circumstances have made it this way. And then obviously last week, I think that's the really tricky part, right? Is I threw this giant wrinkle into it. And that was the first piece of feedback that I really want to talk about, which is, from my friends and even from my assistant, especially, she was like, it just kind of seemed like you took the easy way out, right? With a move like that. You hooked up with somebody else, knowing that it would be easier for you to stop talking to this girl because you didn't necessarily have an excuse. Listen, valid piece of feedback. Honestly, valid piece of feedback. And maybe subconsciously, you're not wrong. But here's what I've found out regardless. Even though I had done this and I had broken that boundary, right? I didn't fully go through with the breakup prior to hooking up with this other girl. Like, it didn't actually make it easier. It actually made it harder, believe it or not. It made it harder because, yes, of course, she could turn around and then she could have not talked to me and maybe that would have been easier. But the reality is the reason that I told her in the first place, because here's the other thing too. I talked to my therapist this week, right? And she's also telling me, and there's also another side of thinking as well. Like, I didn't have to tell her. I didn't have to tell her that I was with somebody else. I could have went through with the breakup, right? I could have just finished it off and then just not said anything. And honestly, some people might even prefer that. You know what I'm saying? Some people, we were talking to my girlfriend last night. She was like, yo, if that was me, I would have hoped you wouldn't have said anything. You just would have broke up with me. But here's the reason that I didn't do that. The reason that I told her about this, even though we were kind of going through a breakup already, the reason that I had told her is because even after that moment, in that moment, I felt really guilty and bad, but also not just that. I actually felt like I don't want to do that, right? Like, I really believe that I won't make a mistake or an action like that again, especially like to somebody that I truly care about. It just felt to me, and again, in the moment after, a couple days after, I was like, I might want to see these things through. Like, I do actually like this girl. That's the thing. It was never about her. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about the way that she was showing up. The way that she was showing up was great. The relationship, like who she is, I really appreciate. And it's, again, somebody that I really can see myself building with. But obviously, again, we don't necessarily fully know that either because it is long distance as well, right? That's where it gets so complicated and tricky. Is I didn't necessarily have the full experience of her. How can I really know that this is somebody that I want to be with long term if we're not actually spending that time together in person? So my theory in the moment was, listen, I fucked up. If I'm ever going to build a relationship with this person again in the future, she has to know this. She has to know this. I can't hold on to that. What am I going to do? Keep talking to her? Because that's the thing too, is like, I still was a little bit on the fence. Like, even though that action had taken place, and again, the easier way out was hooking up with somebody, which again, I don't even know if I really agree with, because I don't think I was looking for that as an out. That wasn't my out. I was still in this mode where I was undetermined on how I did want to proceed. I really was truly questionable. Although I felt like underneath, and I think that's maybe why subconsciously it did happen, is because maybe I knew that it did have to end at some point, even though I did care about her. But I guess the other part of me was, and the way that I wanted to proceed with the breakup in the first place is, I did want to end it in a cordial fashion. I did want to end it in almost like an open-ended fashion of like, hey, listen, right now the timing between me and you is not necessarily working. We're so fucking far away from each other. The way that your work is right now, you don't have PTO, you don't have time off, you don't have the ability to move or shift. I really don't. I'm not in that position of my life either. And we're going to get to that in a second as well, which is also a huge factor in all this. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, in this moment, I knew that a long distance relationship was not conducive to the things that I truly value in my life right now, which right now, as much as I value being in a great relationship, the relationship that I have in my life currently, 31 Chris, still not necessarily fully established in his life, still not fully satisfied with his own life. A relationship needs to be enhancing to my life. It can't be coming into my life and me feeling resentment towards it because A, I'm not feeling fulfilled because I'm not necessarily seeing you. But the other factors were, I felt like I had to show up edited online. I wasn't gaining experiences in my life. Again, my energy and my attention was to this person and was to phone calls. And as much as that is great because I have you, the reality is it's not enhancing my life. It's in some ways taking away from the things that I also really value, which is my work, which is showing up authentic. And I wasn't feeling like I was able to really do that in this long distance relationship. I wasn't gaining experiences with you. I was sitting on the phone. You know, I wasn't doing things. I wasn't going to dinner with you. I wasn't creating memories. You weren't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really conducive to the unstructured entrepreneur life that I really do have right now in Arizona. But I did feel that she could potentially be something like that down the line. And that's the reason that I told her in the first place. Because I'm like, listen, if we are ever going to be something and do something, I am going to have to be real with you. I'm going to have to be fucking honest with you. So that was the reason that I told her, you know, in the first place. And the second thing is, again, about it being the easy way out. Here's the thing, you know, right now, the reality is it only got harder. And the reason I say that is me and her had to have way more conversations. It's been harder for her, right, to be able to manage, like, she's like feeling like shit because she feels like she has no self-respect by talking to me, but still wants to talk to me because she still wants to hear me out. Because here's the deal, and I'm just going to keep it real. And if you don't believe me, I mean, it is what it is. And this is me just being fucking honest. Listen, if this girl, like, she was my girlfriend and she was here, this is a way different situation. I'm not putting myself in that position. It's not an excuse for my actions. It's not an excuse for doing the thing that I did. I just know myself. You know what I'm saying? I know myself. And again, what happened is the situation was already coming to an end, and that action just made it way more hazy. That's all it did. It honestly made it harder. Because here's the other problem now. Now we're having these discussions, me and this girl, about like, listen, like, you know, like, obviously there's a lot of love here, and obviously there's care here, and obviously we have a great, you know, friendship relationship, and we talk every day. But at some point or another, that's got to stop. We can't keep doing that. We can't keep talking. We got to sever the connection. And this has been the problem in the first place, is me not being definitive, me not being really upfront and honest about, listen, you are cool. I do like you, but it's not working. This doesn't work. This situation does not work. And we're not doing enough to get uncomfortable. But finally, we had the conversation. And honestly, it's been happening for the last 7 days, where she'll just randomly, you know, have those feelings of like, I can't believe you did that to me. You know, I'm so hurt. But at the same time, it's weird because I want to talk to you still. And obviously, I still have feelings for you. And I obviously, you know, I want to talk to you about all of this. But it's hard because on the other hand, I'm like, I want to be there to support you. But on the other hand, I'm like, we got to do no contact. We can't be talking to each other right now. All of this wouldn't have been an issue had I just been more definitive in the way that I was talking to her about the breakup in the first place. Truly, we wouldn't even be sitting here having this conversation. I wouldn't be sitting here feeling guilty about something. I wouldn't. But that was one piece of feedback that it was easier. And honestly, okay, so I want to go through these YouTube comments. This one YouTube comment, because she took some time to write this, and I felt like she's been a listener for a very long time. She said she's been listening since I've been doing the podcast with Jay. And she said a few observations, and I wanted to either take accountability for these things or just keep it real. So she said, a few podcasts ago, you mentioned a story about having long distance to give you her phone to check her messages. You glossed over this fact, but dang, that is really creepy and untrustworthy. Is that what people are doing these days? What I've learned over time, I'm a bit older than you, is whatever weird behavior a man has is usually because he's doing some shit behind your back. Like if he's super paranoid about texts or cheating, it's because that's what he's doing. Here's the first thing. Number one, I never asked to go through this girl's phone. If you go back, she's referencing the situation about deleted texts. And what happened in that situation, I was showing her my call log. And I was like, look, I only talked to you and talked to you on the phone. She opened up her phone, showed it to me and said, hey, I only call you. And the reason I called her out because she called a random guy that she said was apparently a stalker and creepy. And she made up this whole story about this guy that was her friend that was a stalker and was creepy, but apparently you're calling him the day before you came to see me. So the reason that I even asked about the messages, first off, I wasn't looking through her messages. I asked about specifically this guy because it was one of those things where it's like, what the fuck is going on? So it was just shady behavior from the begin with. And again, I would never ask to go through some person's phone just to go through it. I agree with you. I wouldn't vibe with that. But again, I'm also not doing shit behind her back. And if you go to the story last week as well, it's not like I was sitting there premeditated texting and DMing chicks. Some girl happened to find me out. She was trying to fuck me and I didn't say no. That's really what it comes down to, is somebody gave me the opportunity and I fucking took it. And I'm fucking wrong for that because I didn't have the broken boundaries. I got to take accountability for that. But again, I'm not some dude that's sitting here texting bitches on the side. No offense. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here doing all that and I'm not checking on her like that. So that's just a wild comment to begin with. But here we go. Number two, you talk about not lying and then you admitted that, to the girl, that I broke up with the long distance situation the night she was in my room. Facts. You're right. I lied about that. 100%. I need to take accountability for that. And I did admit it on the podcast that I did lie in that moment. And I have cleared that up as well with that girl as well. Here's the thing. Like, listen, I'm not perfect. Maybe there's a moment where I say something in that moment where it wasn't right, but I promise you, and I swear on this, if I ever do quote unquote lie, I will absolutely clean it up. I swear. If I feel like I said something that was an error, I will go and tell that person every single time. I swear to God, I promise you on this, I am not holding on to any baggage. I'm not holding on to a single lie that I have told. Over the last couple of years, there's not one. If I have ever told a lie, I've admitted it. I swear. I'm not perfect. Shit happens. You're right. I got to take accountability. I did lie to that girl in that moment, telling her that I had broken up with the girl, even though we weren't fully broken up yet. Very true. Good observation. You should have never gotten into a relationship with long distance unless you had a plan to move back to New York for her. I half agree with this because here's the other thing too. This other girl also agreed to be in this relationship with me. Here's the thing is like, we didn't know what was really going to happen. Things just started picking up and we just started going. We liked each other. We tried to see if things would work out. Again, you take that risk. It is what it is. This is what dating is about. You get to know somebody. You don't know where it's going to end up. And I'm saying, to say that I just needed to have a plan to move back to New York in order to date her, to me, that's not fair because I didn't know what the situation was. Now, as soon as I knew that I wasn't going to move back to New York, I had that conversation. I was open and honest about that. And I said that to her. And I said, listen, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to be moving back to New York. Like, do you feel like you want to come here? Because if the answer is no, then We need to have a real conversation about this. All of this was out in the open. There was no hiding of any of this. But to say that because I had no original plan to move back to New York means I shouldn't have dated her. I mean, listen, hindsight's 2020, to keep it real. In hindsight, would I go back and even put boundaries on the relationship in the first place? No, I wouldn't. So I agree with you on that part, right? And that's the thing for me going forward. I got to recognize, long distance doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It's not within my values. For where I'm at in my life, it's not conducive to enhancing my life. I want to find somebody here. And that's what it is. And that's what I'm trying to say about my dating process in general moving forward. Here, two things. Number one, I'm going snail pace with everybody. I don't need to jump into something right away right now. That's the thing. I need some time for me, especially after this situation. Like, it just made me recognize, like, I got some stuff to work on myself. And you even made a comment down below that we're going to talk about. But that's the other thing too, like hard non-negotiable. Something that I learned from this relationship is no matter how much love was actually there, no matter how much I truly cared about this girl, that distance does not allow for this relationship to truly grow. It really doesn't. At least for me in my life, where I value things, again, I value my work right now more than a relationship. With that in mind and living an unstructured life like I do, the only way that I could truly be in a relationship that is functional for me is if you are here, is if we are not also up each other's ass every second of every day. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's the hard part about relationships in general. And something I'm going to talk about as well as soon as I'm done with the comments is just this idea that when you are with somebody, like, they do take your attention. They take your attention. They really do. The things that you have for yourself, the things that you want for yourself, just naturally, I think when another partner's involved, you start to compromise those things. You're not as crazy about, going hard at work. Sometimes you're very content with your life. And I think that's what happens a lot in relationships is you meet somebody, you feel good, you get into a rhythm, you get into a habit of talking to them every day. You start to neglect the other aspects of your life. You start to neglect your friendships a little bit more. You start to neglect the extra things that you wanted from your own life. And that's a really tough thing about relationships in general. It's very difficult to balance the things that you truly want and desire with having that full relationship. All right, so number 4, she said, when I hear you talking about planning a time with long distance, you are always talking about her coming to see you. It's been sounding very one-sided as I have not seen you mention for making time to go and see her. Listen, also very valid comment. And this girl also had that comment to me as well, the long distance situation. But I will say this. When we had first met, I'd gone to New York twice. When I had first gone there, or the second time I'd gone there, I extended my trip twice. I ended up staying there almost a week more than I was supposed to, just to spend that time with her and just to see her. So at that point, it was like, okay, this time are you going to come see me in Arizona? She came and saw me in Arizona for 3 days in January. February came. I said to her, and she could tell you this. I said, listen, I'm down for you to come here and me to go there. Let's pick a time. Let's figure something out. Her work schedule only had a few gaps in February. She had a 6-day stretch that ended up only being a 4. She had a 3-day stretch and then another 3-day stretch in February. I was like, I want to see you as much as possible. Like, how can we make this work? I want to see you for that first break, that 4-day break. But she wanted to prioritize seeing her family. Her sister just had a baby and she wanted to go see her. I offered to go to her family's place in upstate New York from Arizona, but obviously it wasn't the right timing because, we're still pretty fresh. I don't think she really wanted me to be around her family that quick. So I ultimately never did that. She's like, I'll just come see you that second time. She came to see me in February again for 3 days. The week after, she was supposed to even potentially double dip and see me again, but she ended up going on a ski trip with her brother, which is another time that I could have went to New York. So it wasn't that I just didn't want to go there. I had offered. I didn't push it super hard, I guess. But the reality is she literally was just that busy. She between her working those 12-hour shifts and between her prioritizing her family and also trying to prioritize me, that was the amount of time that she had. And so that's why I tell you it's very circumstantial and not so much about the person. Is it literally just was like me and her every single month just scrapping for like 4-day hangouts and 3-day hangouts. And I'm sorry, to me, for where I'm at, that wasn't really fulfilling. And how can I begin a relationship with you if that's as much as we are seeing each other? And again, another lesson for me too. Putting boundaries on a relationship so fast, especially in that situation where I haven't hung out with you and seen you that much, that's an error. Not just on my part, but her part too. We both rushed into things, because we were excited, we were eager, and there was a lot of love. There is still a lot of love there. So that's what I'm trying to tell you about my dating process. Also moving forward, like really lessons learned. Slow. I don't need to give you boundaries right away. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to say I love you within the first 6 months anymore. There's a lot of things that I need to clean up. Seriously. And that's what I'm trying to say is this relationship showed me a lot of things. I'm telling you, number one, no more long distance. I don't care if you're cool. I don't care if you're hot. You got to be here because I want balance. You know what I'm saying? I don't want somebody where it's 24/7 on, 24/7 off. I can't do it anymore. The other thing I learned is patience with the boundaries. Listen, I don't really know you. I think the reason we amped up the boundaries so much is because, again, what does long distance do to you in the first place? If you got to travel 3,000 miles away, are you doing that for somebody that's saying that they don't really know if they're committing to you? You get what I'm saying? Without that boundary or without those commitments, it was like we weren't going to really try. But I guess that's what it comes down to, is that you shouldn't try. You shouldn't do long distance. If it's like that, just be homies from a distance. And if you happen to see each other and I happen to be in New York, maybe we keep trying over the long haul. And I think that's where we're kind of at now, where it's like, we're cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do have so much love for this girl. She's so fucking dope. And it is so fucking sad. And I'm sad that it had to end in such a shitty way. But it really kind of didn't, because now this week, I'm telling you, we had these conversations and it was like, listen, like, it is what it is. Like, she's like, I'm learning to try to forgive you. And whatever happens, happens. If it's meant to be later down the road, like she could start being a travel nurse at the end in November. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows where it could end up? I'd rather just leave it there though, right? Where it's like, okay, let's leave it where that we do have this potential of being great partners for each other. But maybe we just need to do more exploring. For me, I need to figure some shit out. I do need to be on my own for a little bit, honest. And we're going to get to that in a half a second. Just the last comment though. And this one, I think she was coming at my neck a little bit. She said, you talk a whole lot about girls and what attributes they must have to be wifey material for you. But dang, dude, you're into drugs and partying and having a job that has no benefits and insurance. You're coming at my neck. I think you should take some time to meditate about if the tables were turned, and would you like a girl who has the exact same habits? Very valid. And lifestyle as you. I don't know if it was you or Jay who mentioned you would not be into a girl who had an OnlyFans job, for example. And we're going to talk about, that's a separate conversation. How would you expect a woman to want to wife up and have kids with a guy who values his muscles, protein powder, and drugs over trying to be the kind of guy that would be husband material? And here's the kicker sentence for me. No hate intended, just some recent observations. No hate intended, but I just destroyed your fucking life. Let's break this down little by little. So you mentioned this about me talking about what attributes I want in a wifey, right? And wifey material. And I agree with you, right? It's like, I do want that wholesome energy. I do want somebody that's showing up and is being honest and being loyal. And maybe I didn't show up in the last relationship based on that last boundary break. And you said, but dang, dude, you're into drugs, partying, and having a job that has no benefits and insurance. Facts. Let's talk about that. Number one, listen, I understand that maybe you don't fuck with just the idea that every once in a while I bounce out to a show. If you knew my actual day-to-day life, I don't really party that much. In the year of 2024, I've gone to, I think, 3 shows. I don't go to the bar. I don't drink. So yes, maybe I pop a Molly every once in a while. You're not wrong. But at the same time too, it's like, everybody has some sort of vices. Like, she drinks from time to time. She would go out and drink wine with her friends. What's the difference between me going out and going to a rave and partying a little bit? And yeah, there's some drugs involved. Maybe that's not your vibe. That's okay. and her going out and having a drink when I wouldn't actually do that. I don't go to the club and drink and get fucked up. So to say that I'm a party guy, you don't really know me to say that, but also I'm really not a party guy at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, again, I bounce out and I'll have a good time, but that's pretty much it. So if somebody did have the same habits as me, I honestly would be kind of down, because for the most part, most of my weeks look like reading, going to the gym, eating healthy, working on my business that I have no health insurance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is majority of my time. The one time that I did bounce out and then this did happen, yeah, you're right. It's like, that's an error. That's an error. 1000%. I have to take accountability for that. But that doesn't define me in its entirety. And that's what's really hard about that last podcast in general. And here's really what I want to say is, like, on the whole, like, I'm a very, like, honest, genuine, loving person. And I know that the person that I'm talking to when, you know, I broke this boundary, she feels the same exact way. She wouldn't want to continue talking to me if I was really just some fucking asshole that's like douching her and lying to her. It's like, bro, I'm showing up for this girl. I'm all the time on top of it. I'm not talking and DMing other girls. I'm not going out and getting fucked up all the time. That's not what was happening at all. That is a very skewed view of who I am and the way that I live my life. And again, I'm just going to keep it real. And honestly, again, I'm being serious about this. I really feel like if the circumstances were different, like, we were in the midst of a breakup kind of when this all happened, just to keep it real. If I had some girl that was here and was my girlfriend, I mean, we're talking about something to me that I really do not believe, honestly, in my heart. I'm not bringing some girl back to the crib and doing all that when we're together. It's not an excuse for my behavior. I should have broken the boundaries. It's not an excuse. But you get what I'm saying? I'm not a bad person. I'm not looking to fuck people over. I wasn't even looking to fuck her over. I fucked up. You know what I mean? I fucked up. And that sucks. But that doesn't define who I am in its totality. That's what I'm saying. I can still want certain wifey qualities, because I truly believe underneath I have a lot of husband qualities. I really do. And I really know that I could show up genuine and awesome to that person. And I know she feels that way. You know what I'm saying? I know she feels that way. My whole point is that one action doesn't define my entire character. And obviously, I come on here for an hour, but that's not my whole life. You know, it really is not. I do my best. I'm not a perfect person. But, you know, again, I shouldn't have put myself in that position. I got fucked up. You know, it's also different too, being an internet personality and being a character where people can see you online and pick to want to fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm also dealing with different circumstances than really a normal person in some ways too. It's not like I went out and again, I was macking her up all night. She came back to the crib and she had an objective. And I was in a position where, again, I made a bad choice, but it doesn't define my character. And again, it doesn't define the way that I would show up to a woman, maybe a little bit, right? Because again, I did fuck up. I did. But honest, I truly believe in my heart. I know in my heart that if this girl was like official, it was like officially my girl. And I know that's not an excuse, but you get what I'm saying? It's like, if it was like real and you were here and we weren't in the middle of a breakup, I'm not doing that to you, because I didn't do that to her the entire time that I was telling her that, listen, I'm not doing that shit to you. I'm not doing anything with anybody else. I'm not trying. Did I have opportunities? There's people in the DMs, bro, there's people that fucking shoot their shot towards me. I'm not, no offense, average Joe. You know what I'm saying? That I got to go hunt. Sometimes it comes to me pretty easily. I don't know. I don't want to sit here and make excuses for things either, right? Again, I got to take accountability for the way that I showed up. It was wrong. It was wrong. But I don't want it to also define my character. Yeah, I made a mistake and I'm going to learn from it. But I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it like I'm a piece of shit, because I'm not. I am a good person. I do show up honest, genuine. I cared about this girl. I poured so much money, time, and energy into this girl. You think I just did that just for shits and gigs while I was fucking on her on the side? Fuck no. That's not me. And that's the thing too about the OnlyFans comment. You're right. I wouldn't date a girl with an OnlyFans. I wouldn't. And what that happened that night was strictly just physical. You know what I'm saying? It strictly was physical. I had no intentions of dating this girl. I haven't talked to her really since. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I've gone and hooked up with her. I'm not texting her being like, hey, what's up? It's not that. So I'm not even trying to do any of that anyways in the first place. And that's the thing too. It's like, but your point is still very valid, which is there are still things about me that are not fully defined and not fully perfect. And I'm recognizing that about myself as well. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're mentioning wifing up and having kids and stuff. And I'm like, to be honest, I don't think I'm there yet. You're right. I am not there yet. You're right about that. I'm so serious. And that's why I think the next person that I want to allow into my life, it's going to look so much different than the way that I have been doing it in the first place. Again, way more patient. Like not putting boundaries on things because this is where I get myself into trouble because I need to live a free life. And that's the thing is I need to just feel and know that she is my person before even putting a boundary on it. Is it very hard in this world to date like that because most people might run away? Most women might run away if you're not like telling them that you're the only one. You're the fucking only one. Yeah, it's fucking hard. But the reality is a girl with great self-worth, a woman that will take her time with me. Again, you could fuck other guys too. Go ahead, do what you gotta do. I'm not saying I'm fucking other girls. My whole point is in the beginning stages of dating, I'm not caring who you're with or what you're doing. I'm not. Now, if we hang out, we're vibing, we're having a good time. Listen, if we naturally just keep seeing each other and it enhances my life, you're here, you live here, the vibes are right, everything is going smooth, great. We'll keep hanging out and we're going to keep discovering whether or not we make sense. But I think right now at this time, again, another big thing that I discovered is, you're right, it's like, where do I value relationships in my life? And this is what I told long distance situation. If I valued being in a relationship as number one, I would still be with her. But the reality is I don't value being in a relationship right now as number one. Right now, number one for me is my purpose. Getting financially free and getting financially stable. You're right. I don't have insurance. I don't have the stability that a 9-to-5er does. I don't have the stability that a salary person does, the structure that they have. Where yes, maybe for her, that's what I'm trying to say, a long distance relationship can make a little bit more sense. She goes into a job, she comes out, she clocks in, she clocks out. Good to go. For me, every hour is revenue generating. My whole day is based on I make money when I show up online. And the only way I show up online is if I have my time. I already have to coach people as it is and try to enhance my business. Never mind trying to make content on a daily basis, stories, reels, TikToks, podcasts, editing the podcast. There is so much that I need to do in a single day where if I don't actually have that amount of time to do it, it's not going to get done. That's the truth. So again, where I'm at in my life, you're right. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not. So what I need to do is either, that's what I'm saying, get rid of that relationship that was taking away from that, right? Where again, it's not working. Even though I love you, it's not working. What I need to do is now, okay, I know that I value finding that consistency in my work, finding my purpose. Okay, I got to do that first. A relationship comes second. So what that means is, that needs to take precedent. My happiness, the things that I care about, my work, showing up online, that needs to take precedent over a FaceTime call for 2 hours. I can't talk to you on the phone all day, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I can't. Because you're right, I don't have health insurance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to get my shit together. You're right. And I think that's what I realized over time in this situation. And again, hindsight is always 20/20. It's so much easier to look at my life and be like, Chris, you fucked up here. You're not wrong. I had to learn though. I'm not perfect. And that's what I'm talking about, like dating in general for me right now. As a person that understands that I need to put work first, the only way a relationship kind of fits into my life is if it truly is working with that, right? So I need to meet a person that can give me balance, can be very independent, that can understand my workload, can go really slow with me and understand that maybe boundaries don't work right away because I also want to confirm that you are my person before I just shove you on there, right? Before I just shove you in this hole of like, okay, it's you and only you, because that's where I get into trouble. So my new dating process moving forward under the understanding of my values, right, is going really slow, taking my time with people. I don't want to put people in a position to get hurt. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put boundaries on things, and we're just going to be friends, and we're just going to enjoy our life. And if, your presence in my life enhances the things that I'm doing, you're really liking it, we're really liking it, then we could progress to boundaries. But we got to see if that's really real. And the only way to see if that's really real is if you spend a lot of time with somebody. So I'm at this point where if any girl tries to rush me, sorry, we're in different positions. That's what I'm saying. For the girl long distance, what's her value? Her value is, no, I want a wife. I want a husband. I want kids. She does. So here's the thing. Me and her are not in alignment with where we're at. She does need to go find somebody where he is ready for that. Maybe he's really established. He does have his job. He knows what he's doing. He wants that family now. And again, I don't think I'm very far off from that, but I'm not really there yet. And I think for a lot of guys that are in their 20s and even in their early 30s, this is just, we all share that same vibe, really. And that's why women, you guys experience so much of these guys that will just be like, I'm not ready. But that's the thing is sometimes we look at that and we say, oh, well, if he's saying he's not ready, it just means he doesn't like you. Not true. That's false. It really could mean, he doesn't have the time, the energy, the resources to support the attention that you want. And women, let's be honest. What do you want? Every woman, this is really what it comes down to. They want a guy that shows effort. What is effort? Effort is attention. You want somebody that's going to show up to you, have a present conversation with you, take you on dates, make time for you, spend money on you. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you understand what I'm saying? You want energy and attention from that man. And a man cannot provide you that energy and attention if he does not have enough of that for himself or has not established that for himself. And so that's why you see a lot in our society, in our culture, a lot of situationships and a lot of these half-assed relationships. Because I think a lot of especially if you're dating in your 20s and in your 30s, you will experience a lot of that as a woman. But that's where, again, you need to know what you value. That's what I'm trying to say. So for me in the long distance situation, I want her to be fucking happy. The reality is, it is what it is. If she meets somebody else and she gets married, guess what? I'm fucking happy for her. Straight up. Because I want her to be happy. I want her to be the happiest possible version of herself, and also just to find somebody that can provide that to her right now. And again, maybe if she lived here, maybe we would have that balance and have that, because she is very independent. That's what's great about her. She really is. She never bothered me when I needed to do stuff. But again, for the purposes of my life, it needs to be enhancing and not taking away. And again, I felt that just the lack of being able to see each other, because we're already not in an established relationship, how much can I really prioritize somebody that lives 3,000 miles away, especially when I have to edit myself online, right? I can't just show up online and say whatever the fuck I want, because this girl's watching. And on top of that too, she should feel hurt if I say something out of pocket or weird. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. So it was a very complicated situation, but again, this is why everybody's situation is so unique, but sometimes very similar. In the sense that, listen, again, you got to know what the things you value. And it's very tricky. So let's get into the first question here. Oh, and just to say, right, where this kind of all has landed now is right now in my life, we're going no contact. I mean, the problem is me and her have contacted each other a little bit. I haven't really reached out to her. Don't tell her that. She's going to get mad when she listens to that. I keep yelling at her. I'm like, don't fucking talk to me. I feel like, I love you, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? That's what's hard between me and her. I'm like, we know that we fuck with each other so much, but we just understand that, again, we're not in the right place to be in that relationship. So severing that type of connection and actually moving on from somebody where you do have a lot of love with them, even though it's just not right, fucking hard. It's hard. It's hard to get uncomfortable and actually sever that connection and truly move on. And that's why we're in this position in the first place, because it was almost impossible for me to even fucking tell her that. So maybe, quote unquote, I took the easy way out. But again, it didn't really happen because we still had these fucking conversations. We're still having them till this day where I'm like, I care about you, but this is what's best, right? I got to get uncomfortable for myself. And the more that I dig into that, the more that I get hard into yo, Chris, get uncomfortable, man. Stop answering the FaceTime. Stop texting her. It feels better because I'm like, oh shit, I'm living in alignment with my values. This feels really good. So if you're sitting here and you're on the fence and you're like, shit, I need to have that conversation, or again, I'm talking to somebody I shouldn't. That's the work right there. The work is getting uncomfortable to have the conversation, and the uncomfortable repetitions of having to create space with that person if you need to. It's fucking hard. But I will say this, you will feel better. That is how you gain confidence. It's almost like saying no to the Doritos and eating the healthy meal, right? It's fucking hard to do in the moment. Short term, do we want to talk to each other? Yeah, we do. But long-term gratification, what is better? We know that right now it's better for us not to talk. We know that it's better to not be in that position to be in each other's lives, because it's just going to be too hard. There's going to be too much guilt. It's going to get messy. We can't keep talking. We can't keep being in that. But ever since that has happened, and now that I'm creating this separation, I do feel better. I do, honest, serious. And not because I'm not talking to her because I hated talking to her. She'll tell you that. You'll be like, you just don't want to talk to me. I'm like, no, it's not that. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I just know what is right. And she knows what is right too. She really is. She's going to step into it. I'm going to step into it. We're both going to end up happier at the end of the day. And honestly, there really is a happy ending to all of this. Is we are on the right path. We do know what we need to do. It is uncomfortable. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck up. You're going to call them again. You're going to fuck them one more time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit's going to happen. That's okay. The whole point is to not hold on to that guilt and to move on and to look at these things as a lesson and not hold them against you. Again, look at these comments that people make and I'm just like, that's not my true character. I know it's not, and you just got to keep trying to get better. You got to keep trying to enforce that character. I know for a fact now, moving forward too, I'm never going to not have that hard conversation again, because again, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't easier. It didn't make the breakup easier. It didn't. It really did not. I swear on my life, it did not. It made it harder. More guilt, more hard conversations, more bullshit, more mess. Lesson learned. Lesson fucking learned. And I hope you guys see it that way too. Okay, so let me get into the questions. Where's this first one? Sorry, I have the sniffles or something's going on. All right, she said, how do you feel about a guy who says that he is too busy to reach out to you daily, but he wants to be with you? It's just that he has so much going on, and it's on me to be okay with it, and I shouldn't feel like he cares any less. What were we just talking about? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is the hard part between men and women. Right here, to me, this is the big disconnect. It's like women want that security of knowing that you're going to show up to them consistently. And men sometimes maybe are not in that position to give you that security because maybe they're not where they're at, but they still care about you and they still want you. So it's this giant negotiation between what works and what doesn't. Now, here's the thing. He says he's too busy to reach out to you daily. I need to understand what that means, right? Like, are you saying like, okay, if he's in his work and he's telling you and he's communicating with you, hey, I'm working today. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be there. Like, I'll talk to you soon. Honestly, to me, if he's being honest and he's showing up to you and you guys are still hanging out, and you're still making plans to see each other and there's still like that energy to be in each other's lives, I don't see anything wrong with this. Because to be honest, like, I want a relationship like that right now. Honest. Like, I'm not necessarily ready and open for a new relationship. Like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, I think I need some Chris time in general. Like, I want to do like a couple months of me just like not dating. And first off, I just don't have the feelings to date right now, to just keep it real. Like, it would just feel icky. You know what I'm saying? I did care about this girl a lot. I did, So I think right now I'm just going to take my time. But just in general, like, I do envision my future relationship being like this. Like, to me, I don't want to have to be talking to you daily, at least off the jump, not on the rip. But as we move forward, yeah, I would probably like to see the communication increase where we're keeping each other in the loop. To me, that's reserved for when you are in a real relationship, when you have started to put boundaries on things. But if this is the beginning of the relationship and you're starting to get to know each other, and he's telling you he cares about you, and he's showing up in other ways, and he's communicating effectively, then I don't think it's a problem. But sometimes I do feel like this can be an excuse, right? That's the other side of the coin. That's what makes this so difficult, is like, you're saying, should I be okay with it, if he doesn't reach out to me daily, but he still says he cares? But it also matters on what you value, right? If you're at the position of your life where you do want a connection where it is that high powered, right? Where you guys are talking all the time, you are talking every day, and you want that type of connection, that type of security and consistency. It's out there. It's out there. And that's why I said this is really hard, because it's like two people that kind of see dating and value things differently. You get what I'm saying? I feel like the people that want a little bit more space and want a little bit more independence, they need to mesh and be with partners that are also very high powered and busy and independent. But there is also a level of, like, even for me, right? Like, I could be as busy as I want. But when this girl was in my life, I was still keeping her in the loop. But did I feel like we were ODing with the phone calls? I do. I really do. I'm like, yo, sometimes this shit is too much. And the problem is when I'm in a relationship and I care about somebody, I have really bad boundaries when it comes to being like, yo, I can't talk on the phone right now. Because when my person calls me, I want to talk to them. It's really difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would tell her all the time, I'm like, conversations with you are like candy. I just want to eat it all day long. But the problem is, I know if I keep eating it all day long, I'm going to get a stomach ache. I'm going to feel guilty about, and I'm going to feel resentment towards missing out on my actual work, on the things that are still important to me. And that's what's so hard. Again, this like fight of women wanting your attention versus men wanting their space. Like, this is what it really comes down to. There has to be a balance. You know, you have to find something that works for you. It's really hard, because there's also men in life and there's people in life where they're like, no relationship at all. I don't need a relationship right now. You know what? Valid, right? Because you can then take all of your time and attention and energy and just put it on yourself. You will probably work a little bit harder, to be honest. I really do feel like the only way you work harder in a relationship is when you've passed the initial dating stage. You're like 6 months in, you've built a lot of trust, and you're at the point where you're just like, you don't need to talk every second of the day. You don't need to see each other every day. Like, that's the hard part about dating is very consuming itself, especially when you're not with somebody and you've been established with them. It's fucking hard. That's a lot of time and energy that you need to put in. So the people that are not dating, or they're just like refusing to date, I get it. I understand. But I'm at the point where I kind of want to take more of a balanced approach towards it, right? I'm not on the end of the people that are like, I don't want to date at all because my time is going to be consumed and taken by them and I can't do it. Again, very valid. And then there's the other people that are like, I want a relationship. I'm looking for a relationship. I want somebody in my life. Also very valid, right? You could want that, and you want that type of energy and attention. But also that's very consuming for both people. Now, if you're ready and you're at that point, again, let's say you're very established in your world, you have a lot of the things that you want. Let's say the relationship is the only missing piece for you. You're maybe more on the side of like, okay, I want something that's going to show up and be consistent and go on dates and do the whole thing. But I want to do something that's kind of more in the middle, where it's like, I want to date, but I want to really take it slow. I don't want to overburden each other. I don't want to be texting you every second of the day. I don't want that. I want somebody where I meet them where it's just like, all right, we hang out. All right, I'll see you this week. I'll see you next week. Nice and slow, nice and easy. All right, we're just getting to know each other. We're just friends. Maybe we're kissing. We don't need to fuck. I honestly don't even care. I don't even care. I don't need to just bang you right away either, right? If I'm just getting to know you and you're wifey type, we don't even need that. Swear to God. And because if you feel like you're going to get too attached, fuck it. Let's not fuck. I don't care. Because I don't want to give you boundaries yet. Because I want to take some time for myself. Because I am leaning more into the side of like, I do need my time for me. I really don't want to be texting you all day. Sorry, I don't want to be on the phone with you for 3 hours. I don't. I really don't. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh, you're hot. You're really cool, right? You could be a great partner. But if that's going to happen, that's going to happen over a long period of time. That's going to happen by, hey, I've got time for dinner later this week. Let's go chill. All right, I'll talk to you then. See you then. I don't need to keep up with you every second of the day. I don't want to date like that anymore. I swear, I'm done doing that. So I think this is really a tough situation in particular, right? When we're talking about like him telling you that he doesn't want to text you daily, but he still cares about you. I really feel like a man could feel like that, because that's how I feel about this girl. I'm like, yo, I do care about you. You're just fucking far. I do care about you, but I don't want to be on the phone every day. Like, she thought I was crazy when I told her, I was like, yo, here's the deal. Like, we can make plans to see each other, right? Let's say you're coming to Arizona, a week from now. If we talk on the phone a handful of times and they're quick calls, I'm cool with that. I don't need to be talking on the phone every second of the day. I'm cool with like really just reserving that time for when I see you in person. But I also understand that, you know, you might need that. You might need some check-ins. And I want to talk to my person too. If you care about that person, I feel like you will want to talk to them. You will want to text them. You will want to call them. But again, it's finding that balance. It's very fucking difficult to do. And when you're involved with somebody, here's the other thing that we don't even think about. It's literally when you are dating somebody, and I've talked to clients about this, I've talked to friends about this. For most people, when you get into a relationship with somebody, most of your attention ends up on them. You know what I'm saying? It just naturally. The things that you're thinking about, the people that you're talking to on a daily basis, the people you're seeing majority of the time, if you find a person, that person starts to consume your life. They really do. You're not hanging out with your friends as much. Again, to me, revenue generating activities go out the window. And that's what's really hard for entrepreneurs that are dating too. Because so one of the girls that helps me with my design, she just recently got into a relationship. And what's funny is when we first started, you know, doing business together, she was texting me all the time, talking to me all the time. She was posting a lot more. She got into a relationship, and this is what she told me. She's like, you know, it's great. I'm happy. I'm spending all this time with him, but I only really have time to service my clients. I do as much as I can, and I just maintain my business. I'm not doing those additional revenue generating activities, reaching out to people, making content, because that just takes extra time. That takes extra work. And that's the thing about the nature of a social media business. And a lot of people, we're in this, you know, culture now where like a lot of people are entrepreneurs. The hard part is when you're trying to grow something and build something, that's what I'm saying. A relationship could really take you away from that, you know? She's not doing the extra stuff. Because also too, if you have a very lucrative business, what incentive do you have to keep pushing if you're happy? That's the thing is like when you're in a relationship, you're kind of content. You're like, you have no one to impress. Think about it. Even the gym kind of goes away. You guys know how it is when you're in a relationship with somebody. Like, you know, you're like, all right, do I go to the gym or do I hang out on the couch and watch a Netflix show with you? Which one sounds better? Why don't we just sit down here and do some fucking cardio? I'll fuck you to fucking, I don't know what fucking, I've been watching this show called Shogun on Hulu. It's amazing. I've been loving it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we can just fuck on the couch, do some cardio. Like, I don't really need to go lift weights. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling. You know, being in a relationship is nice. Dating somebody is nice. But again, it comes with the price, right? It comes with the amount of attention you have. And especially if you're in a situationship or you're in a relationship where you don't even have security or boundaries, you want to talk about attention mayhem. You want to talk about energy suck, energy drainage. You think about it. If you're overthinking all day and then on top of it, you're trying to spend time with that person and then you're sleeping with that person, you're not going to build a healthy life for yourself. You're not focused on yourself because all of your time and attention is thinking about this other person and what's going to happen and where things are going to end up. Relationships are fucking tricky, man. Dating is fucking hard. It's not fucking easy. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is where I'm at in all of this. It's confusing. It's hard. It's not easy. But in this particular situation, if I had to give advice to this person about how do I feel about a guy who says that he is too busy to reach out daily, but he wants to be with you, he just has so much going on. Again, to me, I need more information. The reason I need more information is he giving you boundaries? Is he showing up for you and hanging out with you? Is he giving you enough where you feel satisfied and fulfilled? And you need to ask yourself that question. Is the relationship, is the amount of time and energy that person is giving you, is it enough for you? Because if the answer is no, you can't convince him to give him more than he's willing to give. And we do this so much in relationships, right? Where like we meet a person, they're hot, they're cool, we're hanging out, the sex is fire, but they only have so much that they're willing to give us and we want more. But we want more for ourselves, but you got to know that for yourself. You get what I'm saying? I knew in this long distance relationship for myself, I needed more quality time. I need more experiences. Yes, you're coming here for 3 days. I appreciate you, sweetheart. You're beautiful and amazing, but it's just not enough for what I want. That's not what I want in a relationship right now. It's not enhancing my work. It's taking away. It's me staying on the phone. It's me having FaceTimes with you when I'd rather be working. Plain and simple. Two people that really love each other and vibe with each other, but the variables aren't right. The same thing could be happening for you in this relationship. You might be wanting something more secure. You might be wanting something more consistent. You want a guy that's going to hang out with you more, giving you more attention and energy and security. If they're not giving that to you, you got to be the one to determine that. It's not about them enforcing that. Again, know what you value. Know what it is that you want in a relationship. And then at that point, have really difficult conversations with people and just keep dating. That's it. And keep taking your time and keep working on yourself, because that's going to be the key for you to being happy, not only just in your single life, but also in a relationship eventually, because you will eventually get to a person that will provide that. That's what I'm saying. Me and this girl, yeah, it's really sad that we're severing the connection, but what's going to happen for both of us? Okay, Chris is going to have more time to work on himself. He's going to feel way more fulfilled because he's actually going to do the things that are really valuable to him. She's going to be able to go out and date and find somebody that's maybe more established, that lives over there, that might be able to give her what she wants, a baby or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like a real relationship. And here, granted, now the reason, again, I told her the truth was because I'm like, well, hopefully, this is what I told her. I'm like, hopefully you meet another guy. He breaks your heart. It gives me enough time to get established. Maybe I want to move back to New York. And we end up together happily ever after. But at the end of the day, it's like, again, I want that positivity, right? I want that positivity between us to know that, like, hey, this was a really potential good connection. The environment wasn't right. And I hope you guys are seeing the picture being painted, right? Like, just about this idea of how important timing is, how really important what you value in a relationship is, and what prioritization things matter, right? Like, if you know you want security and a certain amount of attention, go get it. Go get it. Don't be afraid. Don't back down, right? That's what I'm trying to say for her and for me. The only reason it didn't work out is because it's what's real. What's real is that we are not in alignment right now. That's okay. No bad blood, no bad energy. Again, things could have been done better towards the end for sure. But she knows I'm a good person. I know she's a great person, and that's what it is. You know, dating really comes down to having uncomfortable conversations, facing uncomfortable realities. I think that's really the biggest one, is like, again, you could meet somebody that's super dope, but there's just some reason why that thing isn't going to be right for both of y'all. And the quicker that you guys could be really honest with each other about it, the better you're going to be, the more free you're going to feel. And the better you're going to get at dating too. You got to understand this is part of it. If you don't recognize that you're going to move through multiple partners to find your person, come on. Not every single person you meet is like, oh my, like there's people I work with. They're like, but I don't know if I'm going to find somebody like him again. I'm like, yes, you are, sweetheart. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Stop it. That's one of the biggest limiting beliefs that I teach about actually as well in my coaching. One of the limiting beliefs that I crash for the people that I work with is, even if you have chemistry with somebody, or if you have chemistry with somebody, that means you need to cling on and hold on because it's rare and hard to find. False. It's false. It's false. You could have chemistry with multiple different people. A good person is not hard to find. You got to get out of that mindset. Really. And once you eliminate that mindset, then it's going to allow you to release the people that are not good for you. Honest. And there's no bad blood when it's done that way. Okay, last question, and we're going to wrap up for the day. And this one's a bigger topic.
You know, with women becoming, in many cases, more successful than men, I think a lot of women struggle with this. What do you do in the case where it's clear that the woman makes more money than the man, especially in the beginning of dating? Who should pay for what?
She said, who should pay for what if it's clear that the woman is making more than the man? Now, listen, I don't care if my girl is making more than me personally. I'm still going to pay for you. I'm the one that asked you on the date. I'm the one that's taking you out. And first off, that feels good about me being in my masculine. I'm not letting my girl pay for everything for me. Now, listen, would I appreciate, the here and there, the nice gestures, looking out for me, picking up food every once in a while, doing the little things? Like, yeah, I want to see that for sure. But even as a man, if you're making more than me, I'm still going to try to show up and bring my piece. But this brings up a really good point about people dating and men dating, right? It is hard when the woman does make more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for a lot of men, they might not feel really good about that. Now, if you're talking about an income difference when you guys are both making good money, you just happen to make more. I really don't feel like the income thing really matters at that point, right? Like if you're making a million, he's making 500K, like who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's really going to matter. But now if you're in a situation where a guy that you're dating, you're making a lot more than him and he's just like not able to afford stuff. You ever seen that TikTok of that girl? It's like, I'm dating a broke guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's tough. Like, I mean, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. If you want to pay for that stuff and do that, you absolutely can. You know what's crazy? There's some women that I work with that want to actually be the more like when it comes to income, they want to be the person that works. You get what I'm saying? Like she's like, I love my work. I love what I do. I would love a man that cooks. I wouldn't actually mind dating a man that wants to stay home. There are women out there that feel that way. By all means, my whole point is find the person that fits in with you. If that's your vibe and you're cool with that, rock with that. My whole point is this though. If you're a woman and you're paying for shit and he's not treating you right, I mean, I think I have a clip about this back in the day. Like, what the fuck are you doing? For real. Like you're on some dumb shit if you're paying for majority of the stuff and then you're getting treated like shit. If you're paying for shit, you better be fucking getting treated like a queen. Or you better just have a good dynamic. You get what I'm saying? He better be showing up honest, communicating all the bullshit. I hope you're not paying for a fucking guy where he's not communicating and he's not showing up. But I still believe that even if the woman is making more, the man, it's just to me, like to establish my masculine presence of like being a protector and being a provider, I would still want to pay for you even though you are making more money than me. I don't see that as a deterrent. Now, again, if you want to chip in and you want to help out here and there, great. I love that. You know what I'm saying? That makes me feel really good that you're not just letting me sit here hanging, knowing that you got it like that too. You know, if you've got it like that, who cares? Do what you got to do. Pay for him. My whole point is I still think that there needs to be some balance. Like even if you make more, even if you're paying for half the shit, he should still be paying half. You get what I'm saying? He should still be paying for his portion of things. Really. I don't think it should be something where, again, you just now, oh, well, because I'm making more, it just makes sense that I pay for everything. No, that's not how it works. He better get his fucking money up. He better hustle up. You know what I'm saying? Again, it just depends on the boundaries and the things that you want in a relationship. But here's the thing I will say too, and a little story about like even my mom, it's something that's really hard about women dating. You know, I really do feel that for a majority of women, like they do want to date a man that is more successful than them. And sometimes that does mean income. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean dollars. Like, I don't think that women are just walking around like, oh, he has to make more than me. I just think that women that are highly motivated, that are very successful, they don't want to be with a guy that's not on that same vibration. So maybe they're not making as much money as you, but he better be motherfucking motivated. He better be like, you know, taking the trash out, doing his thing, like putting in the time and the effort. Like to be dating a guy that is not as motivated as you, that's where I feel like it gets a little bit tricky and it gets a little bit hazy. I don't know if many women really vibe with that. And if you're in a relationship as a woman and you're doing that, like, how long is that going to last? You know what I'm saying? If he's like lazy and you know that you're hella motivated and it's bothering you, again, this is what we're talking about. Value differences. Go find a guy that's more motivated. Obviously the guy you're with is not on your level. Plain and simple. But again, the other hard thing about dating when you are a very highly successful woman is you do want a highly successful man. You do want somebody that probably is pressure, like, you know, bringing that fucking energy, right? So that's what makes it difficult. And especially I think as my women get older, you know, because here's what's happening. You want to hear a funny story about my mom? Something I kind of feel for her a little bit. I feel a little bit bad. So my mom's single. My mom, I believe she's 57. It's actually her birthday today. Happy birthday, Camille. One thing I feel like she's struggling with is this. My mom is a high-powered fucking woman. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. My mom fucking makes the dough. You know what I mean? She's a baller. She really is. She goes hard. She made a life for me and my brother. And that's just she's a really cool story in the sense of like, my mom didn't want to be the go-getter girl. She didn't want to be the masculine figure in my family. She was kind of thrusted into that position. When she had married my dad, I didn't think that she didn't really have the ambitions and goals to really like, be this high earning, high powered woman that she is today. She really wanted to be a mom and she wanted to take care of things. Yes, she was still motivated, but it wasn't to the degree that she's in now, where after my mom and my dad split, I mean, it was really just me, my brother, and her. And my dad kind of skedaddled, and he was just like, well, I don't really know, and I don't really have that much money for child support, so it is what it is. My mom was pretty much just like, well, I want to give a great life to my kids. I got to fucking go hard. She was thrusted into this position of having to go hard and having to take care of me and my brother and wanting to give us a life where she said to us, she said to me, she was just with me this week. She was just like, I wanted to provide a life for you guys as if it was a 2-income household or it was a normal life. I didn't want you guys to feel like you guys didn't have anything. And to be honest, a lot of you guys don't know this because maybe it might seem like I always have had a lot. Like growing up initially, like my younger years, like we really didn't have that much. My mom was trying to figure it out. Like she had to start from the ground up pretty much from that time. Like from her mid-20s till now, like is when she really started to work. Long story short, kick-ass mother, but obviously she worked a lot. So there was, its own challenges in that. I've talked about that in previous podcasts. But lo and behold, we're at this point now where she has worked so hard to give me and my brother this life that, her dating life has kind of taken a back seat. And I think something that's really hard for like really successful older women, right, is she wants to date a guy that could match her, because she goes first class when she flies on a plane. She wants to travel a lot. She wants to date a guy that's going to match her energy, her motivation, her income, right, naturally. But that's the thing, being a single mother that has a lot of income and looking for a guy that has that income and you're a little bit older in age, it's not easy to find. Because I would think that a lot of guys that are that old that do have that amount of money had probably been married as well, whatever. But also think about this, like the dating age gap as you get older, and especially as a successful man, a lot of those men are dating probably younger. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. And I think it's a struggle and it's something that's really hard. And I'm just being honest. I'm being candid. I'm being real. And it's something that's really difficult, I think, for high-powered women in general, and also women that start to, move up in age. Like finding a guy that, sees your value outside of just your youth and your beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like, because those things are not necessarily right there anymore. It's not easy. It's not a simple thing to do. So, I mean, even in my mom's case, right? Like, she might actually have to make some compromise on how much that guy is making, She might have to think about that. Although I do feel like there really is somebody for everyone. I don't want people to lower their standards. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that to be the narrative. I just want to show people that it is a little bit difficult. You know what I'm saying? As a woman that does earn, you know what I'm saying? Because the pool of people, especially if you want somebody on your level, is just naturally smaller to begin with. And again, a highly successful man that has the pick of the litter, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. So I feel for you in those moments, but my whole point is, I think if you're a girl that is in that position or a woman that is a highly successful woman, at the end of the day, it still comes down to the same things that we're talking about. High self-worth, high boundaries, knowing your fucking worth that is outside of just your youth. Like, you got to remember, there's got to be guys out there that are going to appreciate you for your mind, for your intelligence, for your companionship, that a 25-year-old girl, that a 30-year-old girl doesn't have that experience that you have. You know what I'm saying? And you guys are completely different lives. If that guy is dating 15, 20 years younger, I mean, fuck it. That's not just not your person. My whole point is stick to it. Don't feel the need to have to pay for everything because, he doesn't make as much as you. Who cares? He should still be showing up and paying his part. And if he's a true man that wants to provide and help, he's going to do his part and he's going to chip in. That's what I'm saying. At least on a 50% basis. And if you are paying for shit, bro, he better be doing the fucking dishes. Homie better fucking start getting on his hands and knees and start scrubbing, bro. That's it. You better be vacuuming the hallway and the stairs. You're doing the laundry, son. My whole point is there's got to be give and take, right? There's got to be synergy. But it's just finding that balance between, having some standards about what you want and just finding somebody that fits into that and is going to show up for you. You got to know the things that are important to you. And I think for a lot of people, the number one factor needs to be that emotional intelligence. It needs to be somebody that's just going to show up and be consistent with you. I think that's got to be prime, especially for a woman, I think specifically, for real. Because that man needs to be established. He needs to know where he's at in his life. And he's got to be willing to give you that type of security and that type of energy that you're looking for. But advice to the women, just take your time. And both sides, right? Patience with the process. The better your boundaries are, the more patience you have, the more self-worth you have, the more you believe that you're going to find that love, and you don't stop until you find it, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. So keep grinding, keep working. Listen, we're in a new era, right? It's time for me to get back into Chris. It's time for you to get back into you. Nice and easy, patience, knowing what you value. And let's have a good time out there. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy life, single or in a relationship. Let's get out of shitty relationships. Let's get into relationships where what we value is being satiated and is being valued. That's it. And have hard conversations. That's what we learned. All right. Let's go kick ass. Let's go have some fun. Hopefully I answered your question. And have a great rest of your week.